Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mel from Mel Reads It, and I'm having like a green moment. Got some sage, got some earthy greens, got some limeish greens. I'm feeling super green and happy. Anyway, today is my January wrap-up. It was a crazy one. I did not get to read as many books right off the bat as I thought I was going to be able to. My project was due for my dad's science boot camp, so I did not get to read that much, and I actually made a mistake in my reading plans. So January TBR was my first TBR ever, so I did not think to put these books on hold at the library. I personally don't buy books unless I know I'm going to really like them. I need to read them with annotation, or they really just call to me deeply, and I feel like if I buy it, I most likely will really like it. But typically I don't buy books. So a lot of my books weren't ready for me to read in January. To this day, a whole month later, I am still on hold for probably another 4 months for the majority of these books on the list. For reference, for the Caraval series by Stephenie Garber, for the first book, I have to wait 8 weeks. For Shatter Me, I have to wait 6 weeks. So that definitely put a crank in my plans. I was able to read some of my TBR, I just wasn't able to read the amount that I thought I was going to be able to read. So let's get into the books I was actually able to read for my TBR for January. So I was able to complete book 2 of the Stalking the Ripper series by Kerri Maniscalco, Hunting Prince Dracula. So this was actually a really good book. I gave it about like a 3.9. It was definitely better than the first book, which is Stalking Jack the Ripper Volume 1. And it definitely had more like lovely prose that I loved, that I annotated with the red tabs. But it still didn't give me the oomph I wanted, the nah I needed. I know these are just random sounds I'm throwing out, but it just didn't hit this mark on what I thought it was going to be. This series is described as horror. It is not horror at all to me. I can't watch horror movies, but I can read this. I have started book 3 of this, Escaping from Houdini. I probably will finish this before January is done, and this one so far is also a 3.9. So you'll probably see more about this one in February TBR wrap-up. But there was a moment in this one where I was like, that is kind of horror. The way one of the grotesque images of murder was described, it was very horror-ish. But outside of this third book, I have not gotten the vibes of horror at all. Personally, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these books in my collection. So far I've just been tabbing them. I haven't been annotating them by writing in them, and I don't think I'm going to. I really like her writing style. I think she's growing as an author, but I just don't have, it's not the level of like comfort read or like I need to go on this adventure again and again and again, because I don't. I love Audrey Rose and Thomas. I like their relationship. I like the dimensions they have as characters. I enjoy prose in this, but I just don't like the fact that, like, for example, book 3, Audrey Rose and Thomas are all buddy up and close and romantic, but we missed half of it in like the gap between Prince Dracula and Escaping Houdini that we just don't see and the book hasn't told us about yet, and I'm already like 20% into the book, and that really bothered me. I wish I got to see their relationship get deeper like that, but we're already just thrown into a deeper relationship already in book, so that was very odd for me. So far this series is definitely screaming a 3-star, 4-star-ish series. It's not too impressive for me. It's not that great. I do like the characters, but I'm not like desperate to know what happens to them. So I say read if you want like something fun to read and you actually like horror and you like forensic science, but I don't like forensic science. I don't care about it personally. I think the idea that a woman is going to forensic science in this era, I think this is the 1700s or the 1800s, something like that. I think it's beautifully written. It definitely has like the steampunk vibes. It definitely has like Victorian era, but it's very like gothic romantic, but I'm just still not into it. I don't know. It just didn't do it. For those of you who don't know, Stalking the Jack the Ripper series is pretty much this girl, Audrey Rose and Thomas. They do forensic science underneath her uncle, and pretty much they're solving different murders. For this one, they solved the Stalking Jack the Ripper case. In book 2, they did Finding Out Prince Dracula, which actually turned out to be, actually, let me not spoil it for you guys. And then 3rd, Escaping from Houdini. So they pretty much do these times in history where murders were taking place, and they're there to solve it as forensic scientists. Audrey Rose is definitely going through a coming of age story while she's falling in love with Thomas and she's finding her path in life, while also determining that she is a woman who loves forensic science and she's going to pursue this path that is, at this time period, very odd for a young lady to pursue. Most people are like, you need to get married and like be a housewife I don't know, knit, crochet, whatever they did in the 1800s, 1700s century. So she's doing this, dealing with the people who are like judging her, and it's a man-dominated industry. Besides the fact that people don't want people to be cut into. Forensic science is a relatively new thing back then. They don't want anyone to be scalpeled, or like they don't want to figure out the cause of death. They just think leave the dead dead and don't mess with their bodies. So she's dealing with all of that, and she's solving all these murders as she goes, and it's pretty cool. She's already solved 2 murders as of book 3, and she's really good at her job. And I really like Audrey Rose. I feel like the author's writing is very realistic. I love how sometimes she fails, but she still gets back up again. I love how the romance isn't just about her and Thomas, it's about her and her figuring out what she wants in a romantic relationship. And I thought that was very realistic, especially for YA readers. That's the journey they'll be in reading these books. So I thought that was pretty cool. I am probably gonna be done with Escaping Houdini by the end of January. Right now it's only January 25th when I'm recording this video, so I'll probably be done with it by the time this video is aired, and so far it's a 3-4. Not too impressed by it. It's an easy audiobook. I do like it. And I did like Stalking. I did like Hunting Prince Dracula better than Stalking Jack the Ripper, because I feel like at the end of the book it became more adventurous. There was more action. Like, it wasn't as predictable. There's just so many better things happening in this book than the last one. I did an entire book talk on this book, so if you want to check it out, it'll be right here. But that was the first book I read in January, TBR, that was actually going well. This is the second, Escaping from Houdini. Since I'm not fully done with it, I won't give my full review until probably like the February wrap up.
Lies. So I actually DNF'd this. It just wasn't doing it for me, so I let it go.
So Hunting Prince Dracula actually takes place in Romania, and they're actually hunting someone who drains their victims of all of their blood and leaves their body maimed. Some of them are maimed, some of them are staked, but a common occurrence is that they're all drained of blood. So they are believing that they are hunting a vampire in Romania. All the locals are saying it's a vampire, and Audrey Rose and Thomas have to figure out who it really is, because now they believe that Thomas or Audrey Rose are being targeted as the next victim. Very interesting. Romania versus London. And the next book will be A Legend by Mary Lou. So Legend was the book that I really wanted to read because way back when, before my 9-year reading slump, I wanted to read this book and I never got around to reading it, and I really wanted to read it. So I finally got to read it. It was becoming an exclusive edition book with a fairy loot, and I was like, let me figure out, do I really love this book so I can get a special edition copy of it, or is this going to be okay? It ended up being okay for me. I do like the characters. It was a fun adventure. I'll probably continue the series. I currently have Prodigy on hold at the library. We'll see when I get that, but it just wasn't what I would want as an exclusive edition book. I really did enjoy it. I'm hoping Prodigy is actually better, and if it does like hook me and grab me in that way that I would want the next edition, the exclusive editions, I will pursue the exclusive editions. But Legend was good. I enjoyed it. It was a fun ride. Would I do it again? Probably not. But I did like the book. It was a good book. So Legend is a YA dystopian fantasy, and it's really interesting. It's about June. She is this prodigy. She is in this dystopian USA, and she is like an elite in it. She's like the upper class. She goes to school. She has like good food to eat. She's not worried. She's not scavenging on the streets. And it's about Day, this outlaw. He is a menace to society, and he's pretty much accused of murdering June's brother. So her journey is actually her tracking him down, figuring out like why she murdered him, and in the end they actually end up falling in love, you know, YA fantasy like. So June is trying to avenge her brother's murder, and Day's actually trying to save his family. So they have this weird plague going around, and his family is infected, and he's trying to figure out how to get the cure for his younger brother so that he can survive. And in all of this, the story unfolds, and it was actually a very cute story. I enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't reread it, but it was really fun. I definitely gave it a 3-4 star-ish. It was good. It was compelling. It had action. I'm pretty sure it's like a 3.7 for me. Yeah, 3.7 sounds pretty good. I liked it. I do want to read more of her writing, as Prodigy is still on hold, and I'm awaiting that. And I'm hoping it's better because I feel like the romance was definitely a side story, and I would like it to become the main story in the sequel, because I think they have very cute potential, but I definitely felt like it was very insta-love-ish. It was like love at first sight, and the chemistry wasn't groomed properly, in my opinion. But I'm hoping Prodigy gives us something more to look forward to. Okay, my next book that I'll be wrapping up for January is actually The Winner's Curse. So I really want to read this book because it was going to be an exclusive edition. No one's surprised, but I read it, I liked it. It was a 4 stars. I just did not get into it the way I thought I was. I thought I was going to really love this book. So pretty much The Winner's Circle is about this girl named Cashel, and she pretty much buys this guy as a slave. And it is interesting. So Cashel is against like the whole slavery world. In this world it is a fantasy romance, and there is like, you can buy and sell people, and her people are the conquerors, the colonists, and they have colonized their land, and she pretty much buys this guy as a slave, not knowing like where he's from. In the end they actually end up like falling in love because it is a fantasy romance, but she has to choose between like marriage or enlisting in the general's army, and the general is her father. So this is pretty much Cashell's story. And it's mostly, I feel like not much really happened besides like character development and building on Cashel and Aaron's part. Like Aaron's like reconciling with falling in love with her, and Cashel is like trying to convince herself that she's not falling in love with him and that she can hold out, be married, or become like enlist in the general's army, which is her father. And this whole time she's going back and forth and trying to challenge the rules of her society. And it was interesting. I think it's a great concept. I just didn't hook me. It wasn't what I felt I needed. It is still like a 4-star read or a 3-star read, but it just didn't evoke any emotion in me. I wasn't excited to read it per se. I wasn't not excited to not read it. I was just very neutral about it. So I think it's like a definitely 3-4, but I think I rated it a 4 because like I enjoyed the process of reading it. It was good to read. I've read works by Marie Rutkoski before. I read Midnight Light by her. I think that one I also gave like a 3-4. And I like the writing. It just didn't hook me the way I thought it was, and I thought the romance would be higher. It's not. I'm hoping the next book, the romance is higher. I do plan on continuing on with the series, and I hope the romance like goes up. Like we get more like love between the two characters, even though like I don't see how that's gonna happen because of what Cashel did in book 1, but we shall see. That was the other book I read, and the next book that I think I'm gonna finish in my January wrap up is Atomic Habit. This is a nonfiction book. It's pretty much about making tiny changes to make really good habits, an easy way to change your habits and get rid of bad ones. So I'm reading this because I love self-care, self-help, and all that other good stuff. And I feel like there's some habits I just really want to build and solidify within me now that I'm younger, so when I'm a bit older I don't have to like worry about all these things. So I got this book. I really want to read it. A lot of people love it in the business, productivity, self-care world. I hope I'm gonna love it too. I'm already on chapter 5. It's a very fast read. It's very compelling and interesting to me. Yeah, I'm already on chapter 5, and that was with me passively reading it, so I think if I actively turn myself into reading this, I actually will read it. I really liked it. I actually had this in ebook form first, and I was reading it in ebook form, and I was like, I need to take notes on this, so I got it in hardback. Very happy. I do plan on continuing the Stalking the Jack the Ripper series. The last book is Capturing the Devil. I really hope that this gives me everything I want and I need out of the series, because so far it's a 3-4, and I really wanted it to be a 5-star, but you know what? It's okay if it's a 3-4. It's still a good book. It's just not what I expected of the series. But I think maybe Kingdom of the Curse will probably be better because it is her later writing work and more recent. So we shall see. But Capturing the Devil sounds good. It sounds so interesting. And those are all the books I read in January 2022. It is so crazy to start off the new year reading all these books. I'm excited. Be sure to check out my February TBR. It'll probably be up next week. And if you like me or if you like bookish things, please be sure to subscribe. And remember, I'm here every Friday. So join me. Let's talk about books. Let's talk about new book releases. Let's talk about nonfiction books. Let's talk about fantasy romance. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.